Hello and welcome to the Money Show, your one-stop destination for everything personal finance. That's right, whether you're just starting your financial journey or looking to sharpen your money game, we are here to help you make smarter decisions with your money. From decoding investment strategies to breaking down complex financial products to helping you plan for major life goals, we simplify finance so you can focus on building wealth, securing your future and living life on your terms. In every episode, we bring expert insights, real stories, practical tips to help you take control of your financial life one step at a time. So let's get started and make your money work for you. This show also specializes in answering your portfolio queries. So just in case you have any question which is related to any financial goal, any sort of financial strategies that you might want from our experts, do send across your queries on our WhatsApp number, which is 865-797-4571. That's the WhatsApp number. We also have an email ID, which is themoneyShow@etnow.tv. Send across all your investment details and our experts will help you strategize every financial goal that you have in life. Alright, so let's move on, and a very interesting topic for discussion today. Young India is no longer choosing either or when it comes to investing. They are blending the old with the new, balancing traditional stock market tools like investing in the share market, directly buying stocks or doing SIPs with the futuristic appeal of Bitcoin and digital assets also. And this shift isn't just about chasing returns, it's about diversification, access and a new way of thinking about money. You know, on various platforms we are seeing a clear trend. Most Gen Z investors aren't abandoning stocks. They are expanding their portfolio to include crypto, SIPs alongside equities. Now they are treating crypto as an emerging asset class, much like real estate or gold once were for earlier generations, if we can say. And yes, there's a definite mindset shift. Crypto isn't just a short-term gamble anymore. It's becoming a long-term play, even figuring into retirement plans for nearly half of young investors surveyed. You know, it's not just about FOMO, it's about financial literacy, tech savviness and a belief in the future of decentralized finance. Now, in this particular segment of the Money Show, we decode the Gen Z portfolio, what's driving young India to split their trust between Sensex and crypto. Is Bitcoin still speculative, or is it going mainstream? Or how should young investor balance risk, regulation and return in a rapidly evolving financial ecosystem? I have with me Edul Patel, CEO Mudrex, Aditya Shah, founder, Hercules Advisor. Good evening and welcome to the show. Edul, first question to you. Bitcoin now considered as a mainstream investment option. How are you looking at it? What is the trend saying?
So, Kavita, thanks a lot for having me on the show today. Bitcoin clearly has captured the imagination of investors across age groups, but Gen Z and millennials seem to be driving adoption more and more from the perspective of making it a part of their portfolio, holding it and growing their assets. Like the one common theme that we hear from our users is that they just want to buy and hold and keep on adding. It's almost like no one sells Bitcoin anymore. That's a common theme that we are seeing. We've seen that this trend change has occurred specifically over the last couple of years as the world and broader institutional investors have warmed up to the idea of Bitcoin being this storage of digital gold equivalent storage of value. And we saw that with the launch of the Bitcoin ETF in 23, and just about a year later, we are seeing that the amount of wealth that's moved into the Bitcoin ETF is almost as comparable as to the overall gold ETF. That's a very, very strong signal that we are seeing from institutional investors. And that same thought process is being mirrored by individual retail investors as well, where the Gen Z folks as well as the millennials have started to make crypto and especially Bitcoin a larger part of their portfolio. It seems like people are thinking of adopting or allocating 3 to 5% inside of crypto. Till a couple of years ago, people will start off with 500 rupees just to try and see if they can actually double their money in a few days. But now that's no longer the approach. The approach is, I want to park funds, I want to do an SIP, I want to grow wealth and keep crypto as a part of my long-term asset holdings.
All right, very interesting. Aditya, also one thing I want to understand from you is, what kind of a mindset shift are we talking about? Have you noticed any generational or mindset shift in young Indians, how we perceive their risk and return? Has that changed in the young investor mindset?
So good evening. We've seen that cryptocurrencies have risen over the past 3 to 5 years phenomenally, and the goal remains the same to chase asset classes where returns can be seen. Similarly, young investors who want to try something new, they are shifting towards cryptocurrencies. Mind you, in India, the government has not made its position very legal. It has said that it will tax cryptocurrencies, but it has not said so that is trading in cryptocurrencies legal or illegal. So that is one important point to consider. Young people are shifting towards cryptocurrencies because they've seen over the last 3 to 5 years phenomenal returns from them, and young Indians are extrapolating that they will get similar returns over the period of next 3 to 5 years as well. As more and more investors start to come in, the returns will not be as phenomenal as before. And also, we need to wait for how the government treats investments in cryptocurrencies in order to make it a permanent asset class. No doubt, blockchain is a phenomenal technology and it is the technology of the future. But as of now, investors must be really very careful while they invest. The law of the land is not very clear. Also, they must not chase returns that were seen in the past.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. So Edul, now one question to you is about the kick and the thrill. Okay, what draws young Indians towards Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies despite a regulatory uncertainty? Now, that's a very big factor. Despite which you are seeing young investors getting into crypto.
Correct, Kavita. So I would just like to clarify that it's completely legal to buy, sell, hold, trade cryptocurrency in India. There is no regulator, granted, and that regulator and who is going to be a regulator is a conversation that both the government and the various regulatory bodies in India are actively doing and pursuing. Having said that, it's completely legal to buy, sell, trade crypto in India. And this is a change that's happened over the last 3-4 years now. And that's actually what has driven adoption of crypto in India. Granted that adoption is growing and it's scaling up really quickly, and it'll take time before it can be compared to the adoption that we see in equities and so on and so forth. At this point in time, the way we are seeing people participate in crypto is towards actually creating long-term wealth. I completely agree with the point that Aditya made, where it's that the returns seen in the past are not returns that people should expect. The very interesting thing that we are seeing in our users' mindset is that they already understand this. They're already incorporating this in their worldview. And when they are participating in crypto, they're participating in it from this general trend of the fact that, okay, cryptocurrency is here to stay. It's going to be a large and meaningful part of how the asset distribution will be shaped over the next 5-10 years or maybe longer, and as a result they're wanting to participate in it from that long term perspective. I think a lot of it is also being driven from the fact that information and education about crypto and so on and so forth is growing. Early on there used to be a lot of this thrill seeking behavior that, okay, let's participate, let's make money, let's do these conversations over a cup of tea and see how we can grow. But now that doesn't seem to be the case, at least for a vast majority of folks. Of course, there are 10-20% folks who prefer investing or prefer trading in these small cap crypto tokens, chasing those large exceptional outcomes. But for a vast majority of folks, that's no longer the case.
All right. Let's, Aditya, let's elaborate on what Edul said. And I also want you to focus on the other aspect of Gen Zs, when we talk about having the financial portfolio and them balancing out traditional and crypto assets in their investments. How do you look at it? And how do you think it makes sense also and can be a new trend in investments? In fact, a very valid trend.
For the basic idea of young investors investing is that their time horizon is really very long, so they can afford to invest in very risky investment products. Now today, the biggest problem with cryptocurrencies would be, in my opinion, which would limit me as a financial planner to invest there is no framework as such, there's no exchange as such, and there's no regulation per se from the regulator, which would then make it a very safe asset class for investors to invest in per se. Government will work on it over a period of next 3 to 5 years to make sure that there's a regulator, to make sure that trades are very clean, and also people understand how to invest in cryptocurrency. So as an investor today, I would stick to the asset classes which are defined. within those asset classes, small caps, mid caps, within equity would be an interesting place to go for. I would not tend to go at any place where safety is not guaranteed, because at the end of the day, as a financial planner or as an investor as well, your goal number one is to protect your money, and only after you make sure that you protect your money, you are trying to look for returns per se. So Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency will do well over the period of next 3 to 5 years, but I would restrict my portfolio allocation there to about 3 to 5% until the government comes in with stricter regulations, so that more trust is developed on these cryptocurrencies.
All right. Edul, now what about having crypto as a mainstream investment option in your portfolio? Do you see that? Do you see the trend going that side? Do you think it's valid for one to consider it? A lot of people are actually considering and doing it as well. I want you to help our Gen Z viewers or maybe the young India understand the risk factor behind it.
Correct. So I typically do not advise people to add anywhere more than 10% of their wealth in crypto. In fact, the typical proposition from our side, or the generally accepted framework that most large funds and large fund houses have quoted, is that you should aim to have 3 to 5% of your net wealth in crypto, not more. Lesser than that also doesn't actually help a lot, because you don't really get the outcomes that you're expecting. What is also typically recommended is start small, start something with, let's say, even a 2,000 or 5,000 rupee investments for the first few months. Just try and understand what the market is like, what are the nuances, what are the volatility range, and then aim to invest consistently over time. Our general recommendation is that it's important, if you're investing in crypto, to think of it from the very long-term perspective. And if you're doing it from that horizon, then actually timing doesn't really matter. Time in the market matters. And what you would want to do is start small, grow that wealth steadily, and aim to get to about 3 to 5%, just like what Aditya was mentioning.
Aditya, one last question to you. Should financial advisors now be expected to include crypto education also when advising Gen Z clients?
Absolutely. The risk as well as the reward should always be taught to young investors, and young investors should be told that don't go overboard until stricter regulations and an asset class around cryptocurrencies is developed. They should definitely include cryptocurrencies inside the portfolio, but I have already stressed not more than 5% of the portfolio must be invested in cryptocurrencies. And young investors should also be told that there will be huge volatility inside this asset class. So if one day they find that their investment is up 100%, and the exact next day they find that if their investment is down 50%, they should not be too much worried, and they should invest only that amount of money that they feel, if they lose out, will not burn them. So yes, investment in cryptos is important. Education around the risk and reward of cryptos is also important, and all financial planners and new investors also should learn about this before they tend to invest in these asset classes.
Absolutely. One last round of question. Edul, what is your direct stock portfolio like, or in any way are you exposed to equity?
So that's actually very interesting. I don't own any stocks directly. All my investing is through mutual funds. I am a big believer in regular recurring investments. I've been doing SIPs in the equities market since, I think, for the last 8-10 years now. And that's actually exactly how I invest in crypto as well. It's an SIP in Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's actually most of my portfolio. We'll not talk about how either of them has performed. It's unfair to compare the two asset classes over this horizon, but that's how I personally invest and have kept it going.
Okay, so you're an SIP fan, whether it's equity or it's cryptocurrency. Aditya, what about your exposure in crypto?
Zero exposure in crypto, very disciplined and consistent investments across all asset classes: real estate debt, gold, and as well as equities. Equities continues to form about 18% of my portfolio. Direct stocks as well as mutual funds, both of them are there. But as I keep advising to investors, I follow the same path: long-term investments. My time horizon is about 25 to 30 years. So I'm not too much worried of what the investment is today, but I am worried that I need to be very disciplined and consistent over a period of time. This discussion may prompt me to look at cryptocurrencies. but not as of now until the regulator until there is a good regulator who regulates the entire framework.
Sure. We'll have to wait and watch and see how it's, it gets enrolled. But then, thank you so much. It was a fun conversation, and I'm sure it's very helpful for our viewers also in framing the strategies and have all kind of investment or asset classes. Thank you so much. All right, time for a quick break, but then the show isn't over because our very important highlight of the show, which is the question answer or the queries section. We'll take a quick break and I'll be joined by Gautam Kalia, who will be the financial planner for the day today. We'll be talking live to our viewers and getting the financial portfolio queries answered. So after the break, let's get connected with Gautam Kalia, and I'm going to leave you with our WhatsApp number and email ID. Just in case you're watching the show live, you can send across your question, 865-797-4571, the WhatsApp number, and the email ID is themoneyshow@etnow.tv. So a quick break, and post that we'll get connected with our viewers.